All right, hey guys, welcome back to another video on the Flow of Consciousness YouTube channel. Egi Segedre, like they say here in Hungary. Fresh, sunny lemonade. Delicious. Anyways, this morning I decided to take part in a movie project of a friend, and she basically wanted to record kind of like a class setting. It's a short movie about a young couple in high school. Anyways, it's not really the point of the video, but what I think was very important, and anyways, that's not really the point of the video. What I think was very interesting for me was that it was in a classroom setting. And I thought it was so nostalgic to find myself in a classroom after many years. Like, I don't even remember when was the last time I was in a classroom. And it made me think back to all the times in high school and elementary school, and particularly high school, actually, because it really felt like a high school classroom. And it made me think back to all the crazy things we used to do there, like teasing the teachers and teasing the girls in the class, and being like having all of our high school sweethearts and crushes, and all these memories came like flooding back. And I was joking with my friends, like, imagine if we could go back in time with all the knowledge that we have now. We would be absolutely like crushing it in high school, right? So I wanted to share this idea with you guys. Like, how would you act with everything that you've learned through the years if you would be teleported back to your high school times? Like, maybe for some of you, high school was a very difficult period. For me, it was. I was struggling tremendously with a lot of difficult emotions, difficult times, heartbreak, not feeling part of the group sometimes. Even though I was a very social guy growing up, always been very social. Now, it was not really a good time for me. Of course, there were good memories, and we had great adventures together. We did crazy stuff. And it was really pleasant to think back of the good times and the funny moments, but the realization of kind of going back in time with everything that I know now, or everything that we know now, it would be a completely different experience. And it made me reflect on how much I've grown, how far I've come. And I think it can be an interesting thought exercise for you to do as well. Like, think back to your high school times and imagine what you would be like if you would know what you know today, right? Like, for example, one of my friends, he used to be not so popular in school, and nowadays he's quite popular. He's very social, he's very charming. And we were joking about, well, you would be the Don Juan of your high school now with everything that you know, right? So it was really cool to kind of like imagine what it would be like to teleport ourselves back to high school times. And maybe, like I said earlier, you didn't really feel too good in high school. Maybe you didn't know how to deal with growing up and all the social pressure you feel as a teenager, right? Like, your peers are your world. I think it's a very interesting development as we grow older, from child in elementary school, where our parents are our whole universe, our parents and our teachers maybe, and then we grow older and we enter our teenage years, and all of a sudden our peers become our center of the universe, right? We build our identity, our sense of self-worth around how our peers judge us. And after you pass the teenage stage, you enter adulthood, and you start looking for really your identity, right? Like, the things that make you unique, the things that make you stand out. You try to find your unique identity within society as a whole, right? You want to be part of society as a human being, obviously. You don't want to be casted out of society as some kind of strange person who doesn't belong here, right? You want to feel like you're part of something, but at the same time, you also don't want to feel completely the same. You don't want to feel like you're just another cog in the wheel, right? And I think adulthood, the millennials, maybe, we are really trying to find our own identity within society, within the world. And that's why I believe that traveling and discovering yourself and all these things, they're so popular nowadays. And they're really like a cultural thing, right? Because back in medieval days, nobody was really thinking about these things, right? So it's definitely something that I don't want to take for granted. It's not at all something that is evident. It's not obvious. It's a cultural thing, and I think it stems from being so connected with the whole world, right? We can see basically anything that anyone is doing at any time, right? Stories on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, everything is, we are constantly being bombarded with what other people are doing. So we want to stand out in this sea of sameness, because if you take the mean of all that is happening, it becomes this kind of like wishy-washy mix of everything, and we lose our sense of our sense of individuality. And going through your 20s, I believe, is basically a journey towards finding your center, finding your core values, the things you stand for, the things you want to achieve in your life, right? You start to understand that your peers, they don't necessarily have to decide your identity, and superficial pleasures also probably will not ultimately make you happy. You start to understand that chasing status or chasing some kind of career or money or superficial pleasures like food or drugs, they bring a temporary sense of relief, a temporary sense of pleasure, but they don't bring this kind of like fulfillment that you're actually looking for, right? We are all looking for a sense of fulfillment. We are all looking for a sense of meaning and purpose in our lives. We don't want to needlessly suffer. You don't want to needlessly suffer, so that's why you look for meaning in things, right? Sorry. And meaning is something that you create, right? There is this beautiful this is good, guys. Wow. So there is this beautiful idea of two people watching a sunset, right? And one of the two people is really like paying attention to the colors, immersing themselves in the experience. It's beautiful. They are really in the moment, very present, very grounded, paying attention to the experience of the sunset. And then the other person is wrapped up in their phone, fretting about how many likes their latest Instagram post had, and they're worrying about what will people think of them. And they're stressing about their lives, and they're not really paying attention to the sunset. Now, the person who is there, present, experiencing the sunset, they will experience meaning in this moment. They will create the meaning by being present. I believe that you are able to create meaning in any moment of your life if you bring presence and attention and focus to that moment. That is why I'm so big on meditation, mindfulness meditation, because it teaches you to be present in the moment. And this is the antidote to meaninglessness, right? I once asked, I've struggled with these questions for all my life. Like, what is the meaning of life? They're so cliche, but on the other hand, they're so important. I think that finding what is important to you and really embodying those values is a journey towards meaning. And finding meaning in that journey is equally as important, right? Now, by bringing your presence to the current moment, to the present moment, to the now, you are able to create meaning. You create the meaning in your life. Inherently, everything is totally random and meaningless, but that doesn't make it dark, or that's not a reason for you to turn into a nihilist. Not at all. It's actually amazing because you can create any meaning out of this you would like, because there is no inherent meaning. You can create that meaning yourself. And I think that is very powerful once you realize that the meaning of your life is in your hands. You create the meaning. And once I asked my dad, what is the meaning of life? And he answered with, to watch my flowers bloom, to watch my trees grow. That is the meaning of life. And I was blown away by that statement. I was thinking to myself, how can it be so simple? It can't be this simple. And I pondered this idea for a bit. And I realized there was so much truth to it. Because the enjoyment of seeing your flowers bloom, the presence it brings, the enjoyment, the centeredness, the groundedness, the connection to earth, to nature, it all made sense after thinking about it for a while. So maybe you can think about it a little bit too. What is the meaning of life? To see the flowers bloom, to see the trees grow. I think it's incredibly beautiful, this metaphor for the meaning of life. And we're getting a little bit deep and philosophical here. I don't know why it naturally brought me there somehow. So to bring it back to the high school movie trailer, take some time to reflect on how far you've come and what you've learned over the years, and how much of a different person you are now, how much of a more mature person you are now than you used to be in high school. You were a kid, and you've come such a long way. You've learned so many lessons, and that is something to be proud of. And definitely an interesting thought experiment to entertain if you put yourself with your current knowledge in a situation that is your previous high school, for example. I think it could lead to some very interesting and funny scenarios. So that is all I have for you today. It was really a flow of consciousness. I felt like doing it. It's the heart of this channel. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something today. And as always, thanks for watching, guys. I'll talk to you tomorrow.